Welcome back, Embers, or if you're new here, welcome to the Campfire Crew. My name is Stone, my pronouns are they, them, and today we are going to be doing update 3 of Project Level Up. So, in case you've never heard of it, Project Level Up is a project where you go through different levels. You start at level 1, which is you are supposed to hit one pan in a palette and use every shade one time. For level 2, 2 pans, use everything twice, but I am doing the light version of this, which means I am just doing the no pan left behind style of this. So level 1 was just using every shade once, and now that I'm on level 2 of this project, it's using every shade twice, and I'm going through all the palettes that I haven't used before to figure out what shades I want to keep and which shades I am going to get rid of. So we're a couple days before the first of the month, but today I have just finished, spoiler, we're done with level 2, which I am so excited for. So this is what this palette was looking like last month. If I have a picture, I should start taking pictures. And this is what this palette is looking like this month. This is what it looks like. We are down another 2 shades. I might actually remove this red soon because we'll talk about it when we get there. So actually that's the first shade we need to talk about. So last month I used the first 3 shades in this palette, all of the pinks, 2 times. So the first thing I needed to use was that brick red in the corner. And I needed to use that 2 times, which I have. The first time was as a lower lash line shade, and the second time is today. And I'm using it to change the color of the shade Coral in my Pan That palette to make it a little more red. And it's really pretty for that purpose. But I find this shade is really hard to pick up on a brush. I tried to use it as blush because I thought the shade might look really pretty as a blush. But I couldn't even pick it up on my brush. And then when I used my eyeshadow brushes, it also wasn't picking up that well. It's possible to pick up, but it's just a little hard. I have to dig a little bit for the shadow to pick up. So I don't know how long I'm going to keep this, but for now it is staying in this palette. The next shade I had to use was this dark purple, the first one on the second row, the only purple that's left in this palette. And I just needed to use it one more time. I don't remember what I used it for, but it's still a really pretty shade. It's nothing like any of the purples in any other palette I have, so I'm keeping that. The next shade I had to use was on the third row. Oh, yes. So I used the first shade on the third row, which I called a Jean Blue, one time, and I ended up getting rid of it because it is very similar. It is almost indistinguishable from a blue that I have in my Menagerie palette. And so I just figured they were so close, and this one is definitely a worse performing version of that shade, so I didn't need double ups. So I got rid of that shade. The next shade right next to it, which I just called Blue, didn't look at all like Lagoon from my Pan That palette, but they on the eye are the exact same shade. I put them side by side, like right next to each other, and I couldn't tell the difference between where one started and the other stopped. And I used 2 different brushes to make sure that the colors weren't, changing because of the brush, and they still looked the exact same. So I got rid of that. And it really goes to show that just because they don't look the same in the palette doesn't mean they don't perform the same or look the same on the eye. The next one I used is the third shade in that row, which is called Dark Teal. I used it once last month and then another time this month. Like a lot of these shades that I've ended up keeping, this shade is quite different from a lot of the other things I have in my other palettes. It's a lot more teal than anything else I have, and so I decided to keep that. The first shade in the bottom row I called Dark Green, and I have nothing like this in my collection, so I decided to keep it. It's a much more cool tone green than anything I have, and it's very pretty. The next shade I called Light Green. I used it twice, and I actually do think it is sort of similar to some shades I have both in my Pan That palette and my Menagerie palette, but it's a little more lime green than either of those shades. It's not super different, but it is different enough, and I do love these light greens. So I figured that if I was going to have duplicates or something that was similar, these lime greens were going to be good enough. I also ended up using Goldenrod and the light yellow 2 more times each, even though I already used them twice last month. And yeah, I just really like these colors. So now I've used them both 4 times. And yeah, so this is what my palette's currently looking like. I've decided that at the end of the year, with these palettes, I'm not going to keep them all in their original packaging. I'm basically, at the end of the year, when I finally finish all my project level up for all of the palettes I want to do, at that point, I'm going to take all the colors and kind of rehome some of them. And I've decided that I don't actually like this packaging just because, first of all, this is flimsy. I don't know if you can see it, but when I press on it, the whole plastic can press down. And so you're letting in a lot of, every time I pick it up, I just press it the wrong way. And also, that time was okay, but sometimes I find it kind of hard to open the first time. Like, it takes a little bit of effort to open, and so I find it kind of annoying. So I'm just gonna, this is probably not a piece of packaging that I'm going to keep. So yeah, we're gonna rehome these shades at the end of the year, but this is, like I said, hard to open for me. This is what this palette looks like right now. So for my pan percentage, we got rid of 2 more shades in this palette this month. So we're down 2 shades. So we are down to, if I just go to my pan percentage, we are down to 123 pans of eyeshadow. And then I managed, spoiler as per usual, to pan 2 new shades. So we're up to 27 pan shades of eyeshadow. So I'm gonna just do the math really quick. Okay, so my pan percentage is now at 21.95, so we're almost at 22%, which takes us up by 1.95. That takes us up 1.95%. And yeah, I'm really excited. We're almost at 22%. And I'm just really excited to actually have a pan percentage that is decent despite how many new eyeshadows I brought into my collection last year. And doing both this project and getting rid of shades that I know I'm not going to use, as well as panning new shades, has really made my pan percentage go up by quite a lot. But yeah, I'm very excited about that. And now I'm going to roll a new palette. I only have 4 left. I unfortunately have to roll these off screen because I use my camera to film, and I also finally downloaded the Tiny Decisions app, which I use my phone to roll that. So I'm going to go a second time. I'm going to roll a new palette, and then I will come back with you to show you what the new palette is. I am so excited. I'm so excited. I'll see you in a second. Okay, here's the spin. And as you can see, we got the cheese palette. I think, yeah, it's called the Big Cheese by I Heart Revolution. So actually, this is the only palette I managed to do before giving up on my Pan That palette last year. This is what it looks like inside. So as you can see, there are a lot of shades that I've already taken out. The reason I included this year in my Pan That palette is because I wanted to check if I actually like the shades that are left in here. So there are some shades I might still take out. So this is going to be my level 3. So I just have to use each of these shades 3 times. There are 10 shades left in this palette to work on. And I have to use each of those 3 times. So I am so excited to have this palette back. I cannot wait to see what I think of these colors now that I've been doing this project a little bit longer. And hopefully I can have this out sooner rather than later, but we'll see how it goes. And I will see you guys next month. Bye.